Hello, everybody. Hope you can hear me. Hope you can see me. Send me some emojis from the bottom of the screen just to make sure that you can see me great. So, welcome everybody to a joint meetup of the Jacksonville Java user group and the Google developer group of Jacksonville, and also the AI enterprise user group, the virtual user group. So we all meet here as a hybrid meetup. We have people here in the building. We are at Acodis in Jacksonville, and we have a lot of people online from different places, even from Africa, from Europe, from Brazil, and I don't know if there wasn't anybody from Canada, perhaps, I'm not sure, but we have quite a few people. And we have Mani. Mani is a co-organizer of the group. He's from London, and I will, because we are sort of, we started late. I'm going to just hand the speaker or the stage to Yugo, and I'm going to make a disappearance act if I can figure it out.
Okay. So thanks Eyal, thanks Mani for having me here today. Actually, it is the second time I'm presenting remotely on Jacksonville user group. So very happy to be back here. And yeah, today I'm going to talk about large language model using Java language. So we can actually create our own applications without having to shift to other languages. There's plenty of tools available for us, especially one that is the Langchain, one of the most popular one on the field. And yeah, let me share my screen so we can start talking. Just a moment. Yeah, can everybody see my screen? I hope so. Yeah, I see. I like it. So, crossing the chasm, build your first large language powered app with Java. And yes, I've been talking with our audience today, and I see there's many people from never touched to create an application using large language models. For others, that is high experts and already creating some different scenarios for testing these applications. So I will go through fundamental things and then show on a live coding in the end of the presentation. So first thing I believe in our short talk here, it's pretty clear that generative AI it's trending. There are lots of things, many people, all the places talking about different kind of solutions using generative AI, and we have lots of also applications available that is pretty awesome. One thing that I already tried here is Runway. I don't know if you already heard of that. It's a platform that you can actually write some text and it creates a video for you on that with that text. I tried some fun things here. Let me see if I can show you just to showcase. Yeah, it's difficult to share the screen, multiple screens here. But yeah, here is for Runway. Mouse, yeah. I try to pick a real an image here and try to make it animate him. And of course, I haven't went far for prompt engineering here. Just try for fun, and I got this amazing result. It was quite an interesting one. And other things that we can see here is other interesting things that I've seen here is about Party Rock from Amazon. So they created this application to help anyone create a simple application, of course, with some components they have already set up, and then you can just you can prompt the application, then this application creates another application that you can actually interact and have some results. Just to have an example here, we can see. Oh, switching screens here quite troublesome. But yeah, I created a very simple application. I just asked it to Party Rock to create an application that lists some fun facts from some place and then create an image of that. I will go quickly here. So I tried to create for Jacksonville for this example. And then I'm not sure if it's true. So people here that is watching me now, and it is on Jacksonville or knows Jacksonville better than me. It does say that Jacksonville has the largest urban park system in the United States. Is the home of the world's only 24 hours cat veterinary clinic. And every year, Jacksonville hosts one of the largest free jazz festivals in the world, the Jacksonville Jazz Festival. And then I asked it to create an image based on those fan facts. And I don't know if I asked it to create something cinematographic that represent the place that I wrote. Does it matches what Jacksonville is? Does anyone can give me an feedback on that? No, I see a lot of people laughing. And one interesting thing here. Yeah, go ahead, Eyal. I see you.
Well, we don't recognize a lot of the stuff. Well, it is the largest city in the United States area-wise. The annual event, I'm not sure what it means. The picture doesn't look well.
Doesn't look Jacksonville.
In the river, we have the downtown on the other side of the river, so there is some similarity, but the bridge looks very different. We would have a bridge.
Okay. Well, actually, this is very interesting.
Yeah, maybe we do have 7 bridges that are large bridges, so it's
good.
It's somewhat off, but
maybe it picks up some aspect and created a random image. But yeah, an interesting thing here is a large language model creating components that also uses large language model to do some tasks. So I asked it to create an application that creates list fun facts from the place that I will input, and then also create an image from that fun fact. If you see here, the result is this application that we can actually edit and see what it has. So for fun fact, these components used another model, a cloud, and created a prompt. These 3 interesting fun facts at a location here. That is the name of this component that it created for me. And the image one, if I do edit here, it was created using Stable Diffusion XL. And the prompt is a beautiful cinematic landscape image highlights 3 fun facts about location. Fun fact, and then it refers to the result of the other components and so on. So it is quite interesting how you can use large language models to create other components that uses large language model, and then we can chain all these application creation. And I think it matches a lot what Cian asked before about testing the output of large language models. It's difficult to test something that is not deterministic, but we can also use another large language model to actually validate it for us. At some point, we can convert some level of quality on those validations. And the last one I would like to introduce application here that I thought was pretty fun is the Amazon Code Whisperer. I think many people have heard about that before. It's the same competitor for the GitHub Copilot, but this one I feel very interesting because it is focused on command line. So it's the Code Whisperer for command line. I will just to have an idea how it works. Oh, thanks, Mania. You are sharing the links there. Let me get my my terminal here. It will be useful. So how it works, it does, when I type some command here like git, it does autocomplete for me. I think it's not showing. Let me see, because of the screen. Let me try to share the whole screen. Just a minute. Yeah. So git, and yep. So it's showing all some options here that I use frequently. If I type Docker, it also autocompletes with some common commands and arguments here. But the most powerful thing for me, at least for me, that I do frequently forgot how to make some common commands, and then it does has this code whisperer AI, and when you type it, you can actually type what you need to do. So as an example, I want to list all Java files at folder and subfolder. And I hit enter here. It will create a shell. I can edit the command, and then I hit enter here for the command. What happened? My terminal frozen. Huh. I did it many times. Why it's just because I'm sharing the screen. It's failing here. At least I don't know. My terminal gets frozen. Okay. Let's go again. Code whisper AI. List all .java files at folder and subfolder. Create a shell, hit the command, and it already, the terminal is nervous. Yeah, it seems to be the terminal issue. So yeah, here we have this feature that you can actually create a prompt, and it will transform it into some command on the terminal that you can max. So it's normal. Things like that happens. Yeah. So this is one very interesting feature. If I want to create to change a bit here, let's do again, and I don't know, list all dot class files subfolders. It can also create a new command for that, to looking for this prompt. So I thought it's very useful for me. At least I don't need to go to open a browser, go search some of those commands that I usually forget to do, how to do, and it just autocompletes for me. So that's some of things that is interesting for by using generative AI or large language model solutions. And yeah, let me go further here. So beside all these interesting things and fun things that we have been seeing in many different applications, it's not just those applications, but we have seen lots of hype from big consultants like Gartner already put generative AI into the peak of inflated expectations, where people already it's very excited with the topic and trying many different things. Oh yeah, Andres, yeah, Code Whisperer CLI is available only for Mac, unfortunately. And also Accenture is where I do work. We run this research of our customers, and a lot of them already starting with this journey of AI. So there are many things going on, and many people investing a lot of money on this topic. And why it does matter for us engineers, software developers, Java developers, and The reason is that generative AI, it's a lot different from other technologies or other things, new things. It is very permissive, so you can see a lot of applications in different fields, and especially on our own fields. If we do visit our work, we can see how these models are changing the way that we code, the way that we do tests. Seeing already brings some challenges by doing tests on this new context, how we do documentation, and also a lot of different products and services that is coming on. So now understand a bit how it works, how what we can do with that, understand their limitations too. It would be, I think it would be very helpful to make any decision, and so that's why we're gonna explore those fundamentals and be more confident with these new technologies. And also working with AI can be fun. As you can see, the image that I generated from Rio, it does give me some surprising outputs a lot of times. So, any questions so far? I will keep going then. And yeah, if there's any question on your side too, you can share here. I'm not looking for the chat. Okay, good. So the first thing we have to do is to explore a bit the fundamentals. And the first thing that to help me explore those fundamentals, I'll be using one of the most popular tools for orchestrating those large language models inside our application. And we have the Langchain. As he already mentioned, it is officially supported with for Python and TypeScript. And we have an open source version, the Langchain4J, for Java, and it's quite interesting. Very lot of updates. I see a lot of DevOps talks of people that is actually actively committing on the project. This Rise, it was really interesting too, and yeah, and we don't need to move to other languages to create those applications that we know to do very well. So for this example, I'll be using OpenAI. It is the simplest model provider to work at this moment. And yeah, of course, we can change. Langchain gives you power to be portable, to change the provider for other ones. They have many different providers, integration, implementation. And for this example, we're going to be getting a simple input sent to the OpenAI and print the output from there. So the very first thing important to understand is about models. What is models? They are, when I say generative models, they are anything that can generate text, images, audio, or other medias like videos already we are generating. And for when we say large language model, they are focused on text and languages, and it does generate things based on that. And by now, I get this chart from the Life Architect AI. It's a really good, really interesting blog to be following. The guy from the blog always gives some updates and create this nice view for the current models state. So we have seen those big large language models are regarding to those big models. We see the GPT-4 with a trillion of parameters to be generated, and it's a lot larger than the previous one, that is the GPT 3.5 Turbo. It was 20 billion of parameters. And we see also some other famous or popular options like Gemini from Google that was recently released, 1.5 trillion of parameters. They are really big models, but we have also some small models that easier, is more focused and easier to run on local machines. I think Manny already mentioned it during on the backstages. Yeah. So our first application, we always start with hello world, right? So how to write hello world large language model application in Java? So the idea here is to enter an input, and it will be write hello world in Java, and I expect to write an output with the hello world application written in Java. So let me change a bit here to my code so we can see how we can start creating those applications. So I'm switching here to my IntelliJ, and first thing, very important actually to understand is how we can start creating our application in Java. Here I use Maven for dependency management, and the only dependency that you need to add when you are working with OpenAI and Langchain4J, it's the Langchain4J itself and the OpenAI module that is also implemented by the Langchain4J team, and that's all we need to start interacting with our models. Of course, for OpenAI, you have to create your own OpenAI account, and then you have to create an environment variable and store your API key, create your API key, and store that on your application, so you can use it to interact, do the authentication, and interact with your account model. Okay. So the first thing here, when we do start creating a class, I created this 00 model. It's my first class, giving a sample of the hello world using LLM. So the first thing I need is to recover the OpenAI key, of course, and then I can use this helpful OpenAI chat model class provided by Langchain4J, and just specify which model I want to use, what is the API key that I will need to use, and then build my chat language model. After that, I can just write a prompt here. I already set up a fixed prompt. So write hello world in Java printing, hello JackJug 2024, and I send it to my chat model. Just ask them to generate using this prompt as a user message. And simply like that, it will give me the response, and I just print it. And also printing later the token usage, just to have an idea how many tokens we use it on this operation. I will explain a bit about tokens. So let's just run this application, this example. The code size is okay for everyone? Are you able to see it clearly? I see. Okay, good. So I just run this example here, and yeah, to print hello Jax 2024 in Java, you can use the following code, and then it gives me the code example here, hello world, and hello. Yeah, it does create with the specific instruction I gave for him to print JaxYug 2024. And give me more explanation here. An interesting part is the token usage. It tells me that I use 23 tokens for input and 107 tokens for output, and total of 130 tokens. So let's see what is this token about. Oh, this shifting screen share is good. Okay, I'm seeing here the message. Oh yeah, this example for creating the API keys. Once you have your OpenAI account, you can go to your settings and find for API keys. Then you can just create a new secret key here to use on these examples. About the tokens is the way, it's the unit that these language models uses to break your text and process it separately. And that's why it does also charge you by tokens. So here I use the Turbo, and for Turbo 3.5, it's really cheap amount of money charging for me. For every 1,000 tokens, it will charge 0.001 for input and 0.002 for output. So here it will be very, until I reach 1,000 tokens, it won't be charging anything here. So it will be very low value here. Of course, when you start using it in production, it can scale very quick. So you have to be aware of that. Okay. Good for Hello World. Everyone could follow me. I hope so. Good. So the next concept that it's important to talk about is about prompt. We already used prompt is the input for those models, but we have some interesting tools here. So I will use my another example on the code that I call emoji bot. That is what it does. It simply takes a movie name as input, and we'll try to create those movie plots, but just using emojis for that. So let's give it a try, and if you can actually share in the chat some interesting movie title, will be interesting to test this application. So let me go back to the code and close here, and let explore prompt. So one interesting thing here regarding to prompt is that I will do the same thing here. I will recover the OpenAI key. I will create a chat model. Here you can see I made it in a simpler way to declare my chat model just with this helper method with API key, because they have some default values, and for at least for this version of the Langchain, it is defaulting for the GPT 3.5. Yes, Eyal?
Okay, so because I don't know if you can see the chat, the suggestion here was the usual suspects, which is
the usual suspect. Okay. So let me go through here the example, and then I will type the share your OpenAI key. No, I won't share my OpenAI key. You won't get me on that money. So one thing that is interesting is this the prompt template. It's easy when we have a single input with a static string, but sometimes we have to build it and change some values, only change some values. So that's how we can work by using this prompt template. It is simply a templating implementation. So first I give some instructions for the model, like for EmojiBot, I coded EmojiBot is a movie expert who know the story of every existing movie in the world, can identify any movie title in the world, generate a detailed movie plot only using emojis when recognize a valid movie title, reply, honk, not a movie title otherwise. And then I give the name of the movie, and then I put here the EmojiBot just to the model autocomplete the rest of the text in this of this prompt. So, and then with this prompt template, I will just ask to enter a movie name, get the movie name, replace the movie name in the prompt, just replacing here, putting the movie name here, and then generate the prompt, generate the response or from the chat model by giving this prompt to as an input for the model, and then just print and print also the token usually. So let's see how it works. I'm running here, and yeah, what was the name of the movie? The Usual Suspects. I don't know which movie is that, so let me see if the if the emoji plots give me a hint. Something related to detective, cigarettes. Oh, Andres also wrote here contact. There's a pistol. Did you watch this movie, Eyal? It is close to what you imagine.
Okay, so we have an expert to the movie here. Can you see me on stage? Let David come tell us your plot of the movie.
Okay.
And
Well,
let's see how if it can match or not.
The usual suspects are 5 people that are suspects in a crime, and there's a detective who's trying to figure out which one of the 5 people is actually responsible for the crime, and he thinks they work for this guy named Kaiser Soze, where the Kaiser Soze is the guy that's going around and trying to kill everybody, and so you have to watch the movie to find out, who this Kaiser Soze is.
And what is the crime that he's suspecting?
It's been so long I don't remember, but I remember the line that everybody remembered from the movie was "Who's Kaiser Soze?"
Doesn't it involve a boat or something like that?
Yeah, there is a boat involved. I don't know if it's a major. I think that might have been where the crime took place.
So how do you look? What do you think is the key at the end here? Is when they find out who it is?
Probably, yes.
Okay, that look like it does figure out something close to what the movie really is.
Can you maybe in another version? I don't know if it's a good idea to do it now, but another version maybe to try to ask it to explain each emoji.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it will write some. Yeah, sometimes it does write something here. Let's see the contact from Andres' suggestion.
Contact, okay.
It haven't identified as a movie title. It is Contact, only Contact, Andres, or The Contact. I don't know. Contact from calls. Oh yeah, I think now it identified. Good. You can gen template to ask to explain each of the emojis. Emoji bots, and that's interesting way to actually make changes. It's really quick, but also difficult to track. So emoji bots explain the emoji plot created. I haven't tried to switch for these implementations, Evgeny. But yeah, Langchain have lots of implementations for each of those providers. So as I showed here on the example,
I can maybe attest to that. I did one experiment where I tried to use Llama. So they're sort of interchangeable, and Llama you can download and have installed locally. And generally speaking, the idea of it is to abstract the model and some other parts of it. I don't know if you're going to talk to, if you will get to this, but you can have other components there, right? Like embeddings, database, etc., a vector database. So the idea is to have an abstraction and to use different components for implementation. So the model is to some degree interchangeable, but the prompt might be different. It might the way it responds to prompt. You may have to change your prompt to get the same results. So in general, it just may sound and behave a little differently. But programmatically, it's going to be the same. Now, it is important to be able to do it locally in some situations, because some companies, if you do stuff for a company, they might not want to share their information with OpenAI because I'm not sure if they're actually using it or not using it anymore, but some companies are suspicious about it. Plus, you may just not want the information to go outside your computer. Maybe it's you want it to be federated or to keep privacy or certain things, to keep it in one spot. So it's actually, I just have to, since we are already there, not too long ago, several months ago, when the ChatGPT just started, it feels like several months ago, maybe it was a little longer, but we had a meetup with David Snowden, I think, from England, and he was just showing ChatGPT. He was trying to write software with it, etc. And one of the questions was, will there be a time that people will be able to have their own LLM, or even a company or a corporation will own their own? And at the time, it didn't look so likely, because it looked like it took so much resources to create it and to even just operate it. And that very quickly changed. Like almost overnight, it was already, the answer was yes, you can install it even on a Raspberry Pi or something, if you really want. Yeah, so it's quite a revolution how far that happened.
Yeah, cool. And I believe it's exactly what Eyal said, and it should be simple at some level. Of course, you will have to add the dependency with that integration, that provider integration, and of course, the API might change a bit for each of the providers. They have some different features available and slight changes from one to another. But yeah, it is. I believe that it won't be so far from adding a new dependency here for that specific provider and then use the API that's provided by Langchain4J. If you are using, of course, Langchain4J, all of these you can do with simple raw HTTP client requests. But as you will see in other features from here, they have a lot of things that Langchain4J already, or Langchain already take care for you and abstract the whole complexity. Changes in prompt format, but Langchain4J API code is the same, correct? Yep, I think it's at some level it's interchangeable, but as I said, depending on the provider, may change a bit which features or which API it will provide for you. Yeah, we are in the prompt here, and I think we can move for the next example. So let me share again here. It was good if I can share my whole screen. Let me do it. I think it's easier. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about memory. And as you can see on ChatGPT too, memory.
Can I just interrupt? Somebody here has a question.
Yeah.
Somebody who would not be named. I'm just kidding.
Your code is open source or no? Your examples codes.
If the code that you're showing us, the code that you wrote, is it?
Sure. It is. It is on GitHub, and I can already share it, so it will be easy to follow. Actually, it's here already. Yep. So I code it. You can find me Yugo CCP, and there's a hello Langchain4J. I will paste here in the chat so everyone can have it accessible. It's totally open here, and if you have any improvement that you would like to contribute, always welcome. Okay. So going back to the presentation here, and talking about going ahead with memory, as we can see on ChatGPT, we can keep talking, and it kind of remember what you said earlier and connects and reply consistently with previous information. But if I get my hello world example and just write hello world and then give another input to change the output something else, it won't work actually. Because for each time I do send the prompt, the model itself, it is stateless. So how can actually we do give memory for the model, or how does the model remember what I said? And if we go to the implementation, let's see if it's everyone can see I changed the screen so everyone can see the whole screen. Let me just hide this one. Turn hiding. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is the memory example, it's the 02. And yeah, the same thing here. I get the API, I get the model, and then I use this implementation that I call memory. It is another helper class from the Langchain4J, but it's nothing else than an array of messages that I keep. And for this example, I created what I called JavaBot. So JavaBot is an expert, a Java expert who knows everything regarding to Java. It recognizes any question related to Java. It gives a short Java example for any question related with, and reply not Java question for any question that is not related to Java. And then I do the same thing. I will do I will keep getting the input, or so I ask to enter the question, and if the question is not exit, I will add this question to the chat memory, and then send the whole chat memory messages to the chat model, and then I add the response to the chat memory too. And so I can and the response I print here. So what actually happened is that I do always send the whole window of messages for the model. So it actually, the model is processing the whole context, the whole messages at once, and that's why we think it does have memory. But actually, it doesn't. It is every time is the stateless action.
I just wanted to make a quick comment here. I tried something like that actually had another level of sophistication. Instead of just taking the history and adding it, it would first send the history to the LLM behind the scene and says, summarize this for me, and then and continue from there.
Sorry?
Do you want me to repeat what I said? I saw a variation of that was doing something somewhat more sophisticated to save tokens, sort of save tokens, but at the same time also it made it go twice every time. In the long run, maybe it saves the tokens, but the idea was that whenever it gives you an answer, it would take the current history and would send that to the LLM, sort of behind the scenes, and ask the LLM to summarize it. And then take this summary and use that as the memory in the next stage.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's like a two-stage back and forth for every question you ask.
So it is probably to save the number of tokens you are sending to the model every time you add things.
Over time, I think it's
Yeah.
well, we can analyze that later. Just wanted to mention it.
Actually, we can see here the amount of the tokens we use when we do on this kind of operation. So when I do run this example of memory, I can enter here someone with Java question. Interesting Java question, not so long, so I can do more questions. Well, actually, I can go with the very basic. Write a hello world. What is thread? What is thread? Well, we have lots of questions here now, but yeah, I went with the threads. So it does give me this response. The threads, the unit, it explains me with lots of things here, give me some coding examples. And one important thing here that I want to show is the token usage. So for this question, I used 80 tokens for input, and I had 251 tokens for the output. And then if I ask something else over this question, can someone think of something to ask to change here? Maybe it's interesting, so we can validate that it is using the previous code to make what is a deadlock. I wish to connect actually the some changes over the context, the previous context. So let me do an example here. For example, it does print for me the thread is running. Let me ask you, can you change the print message to the super thread is running? I was writing a code. The question, I didn't see the question. Oh, sorry. But the idea here is still to validate the memory stuff. So I asked him to explain about thread, and now I see the code example, and then I asked it to change something on the code that it gave back for me. And now, if I go to the example here, it does give me the same example, okay, the same code that it gave me in the previous answer. So certainly, here's the updated code, and just then change it what I asked it to change. The super thread is running. So it looks like it is it is understanding what it sent before and completing with a new answer. But actually, what happened is I sent both this input prompt message and the output from the previous message, and then the original question and the original answer, and then and then the model with those contexts also add this prompt, so it autocomplete with the new output. It is reusing the previous context as memory to answer the question this time. Yes, exactly, Mani. Thank you for for the clarification here. So if I see here the input token count, I ask it a very small prompt here, right? I ask it, can you change the print message to this super thread is running? But it counts 353 tokens because I have added the original context to it. So I'm sending everything again to the model, and with that whole context, the model outcompleted with a consistent answer here. Okay, good. So someone, Evgeny, asked, what is the most important? What is the most important in the last query? what is the most important yeah, it's not so much money. Well, let's see what it does answer for me. So the most important part of the last query is understanding how to override the run method in a thread subclass. So yeah, it keeps the context consistent, because every time I send the whole context and then it just adds up. If we see here, the input token the input token count only grow each time I ask here, because it is sending over and over the whole context. Share the key with us before you exhaust the token. No, Iker. I'm already using all these for the examples here. So, does it? Yeah, yo, go ahead.
So I just another related thought. So when you have a conversation with a ChatGPT online and you just type, and it's a conversation, it goes back and forth. The same thing really happens, right? It knows the context of what you said because it basically, so you use more and more and more tokens as the conversation goes. So if you really don't need that context, if you want to start another conversation, even though it's the same general subject. So like I would tend to, because it's the same general subject, I will keep going on the same thread, because then the thread will be there in the future. But on the other hand, I'm using a lot of tokens that I don't really need to. It's maybe better if I don't really need the history for the sake of the new answers to just start a new thread and call it the same name, even number 2 or something like that, right?
Right.
That's presuming I'm paying for the tokens, or at some point I will start paying for the tokens.
Yes, that's right. So that's a great tip, Eyal. If you want to save some tokens, yeah, you can always create a new context and then start your question if the history doesn't matter for the question. And yeah, so this is the important part about the memory. And let's go back to the presentation here. So let's quickly talk about retrieval. That is the most. Someone asked it here, Andres. How can I make 2 threads? Okay. You are asking for the for the example here. But yeah, I think that's we could cover the examples here. So let's talk about retrieval. This is one of the most interesting feature we can find on those models. So retrieval is a way to selectively add context to the model. And it means that before we send the prompt, it is a way to actually give some new context to the model that model doesn't have the information on their training data set. And yeah, let's think about something that I would like to ask regarding to the current news. And of course, the GPT, even GPT-4, I think they have some other ways to add the context, but these models doesn't have any information regarding today's news from, I don't know, from Tech Radar, for example. And what I can do to actually add this content to the model and then ask some question regarding to that. So that is what RAGs or retrieval augmenting generation does. Here is a way to simplify the way it works. So I will go through the code, but let's try to explain here with diagrams. To give this context for the model, we have to first prepare that context and store it in a way that I can actually filter them and send it to the large language models. So it does work like the memory. So first thing, I will get the content here that is from the external world, from somewhere that it doesn't exist on the large language model dataset. And today we do use something we call vector database, and we do create embeds, or we do create some weights for the every word we have on this content and store on this vector database that will help us finding connection with the prompt further. So once I have this vector database already stored with your content, I can go ask a question and use the embedding model to transform this question into a vector too, and then search for some for the content that is related to those questions. So I vectorize both the content and the question, and then I can connect both things. And then once I have this response from the vector database, I will join the question with the vector database results to actually send the whole things for the large language model. So in the end, it's quite similar to the memory because I'm just getting part of the content and join to the prompt and then send all together to the large language model. And then the large language model can understand with that content, with that context, your prompt, and then it will generate the new response, the new answer. So in the end, we are not changing the model at all. We are just sending the filtered information regarding to your question for the model to add on the context of adding the context inside your prompt. So let's see how it works on the code. Maybe it's easier to visualize. Here I have the retrieval example, and yeah, I created actually. I went to the Tech Radar. The example was because I did it. I went to the Tech Radar today and created a PDF file and with the latest news from the Tech Radar. So I went through here and exported as a PDF the whole content, and just to have this example working. So here are the codes. I think it's a bit difficult to read here. Can everyone follow? I put the news PDF, that is a PDF I just showed here on my screen. And yeah, what do we have to do? First thing, we have to grab the OpenAPI key, okay? And then we have to do this, we have to create this embedding model. Remember that embedding model, if I do see here, I have to use the same embedding model to embed or to vectorize my PDF content and also to vectorize my my query, my prompt, so the question can connect. So I can connect both the question and the content. So this is what happens here. I do create an embedding model. Langchain4J does give me this nice class to create the model, and I have also this embedding in-memory embedding store. It is my vector database. It is in-memory vector database for this example. And then here I can create the ingester, that is the class that will actually load the document and then store into the vector database. So how does it work? I have to set this ingester. I have to set up this ingester. I also have this nice ingester. Okay. I have this nice ingester class here, builder, and I have to split the document with 500 segment of characters, and I set the model and the store and build the ingester. So once I have the file path, I will get this. I'll load this file path into document, and then I'll get this ingester, and just what it's doing is getting the document, applying the model, and storing in my vector database, in this case, my embedding store. And with that, I will enter into the question cycle here. So I do create a chat model, the chat memory, and the retriever. The retriever here, it is the query for the store. So let's see here. Let's follow the example here. I have this prompt template. And here Langchain have simpler way to create all these. Oh, can you run PS for us with the command running? Sorry, Andres. I think I couldn't get your request here. Do you want me to run the command here? Okay, sorry. Okay, so the prompt here is answer the following question to the best of your ability. So I will add the question here. Base your answer on the following information, and the information is what I retrieved from the vector database. So on running, I will have to enter my question. Then I get the question. And with the question, I will use the retriever to actually get the segments, the filtered parts or the relevant parts of the document. And then I create a prompt sending the question and the relevant segments. And I change it to question and information. So I just replace here the question and the information. And then the rest is the same workflow here. We can add the prompt to the chat memory, ask to the model to generate the response from those messages, and then print it and the token usage. So let's see it running quickly here, and I will open for questions. So I added the document here, this document here. It is the news from the first page of the Tech Radar today. So something interesting here, maybe, what is hot? So let's see. What is hot? So let's see the answer here. So based on an information provider, hot could refer to the latest trending technology products and innovations. This includes the Rabbit R1, an AI-powered sidekick similar to Siri, and the Amazon Fit Helio Ring. And yeah, it's quite correct because I asked it for what is hot, and it looked for the information here on the document, and hot. The first thing appearing here is the Rabbit R1 is an AI-powered sidekick that's like future version of Siri, and so on. So this is how we can actually connect or add some context to the some larger context actually to the model without having to send everything on the token, because these models have token limitations. We can send infinite tokens for these models, and when we do have some larger content here as a context, we can do retrieval will help you filter the relevant content and send only the relevant parts for the question itself. I think it was quite long explanation here. Does it? Everyone was able to follow the example here. Is there any questions? No?
Just one more thing. This can actually be useful to situations where you want to make it an expert on something. And for example, if you have a documentation of a product that you created, and you want it to be like customer support for this product, or tell you where to find the answer in the manual, then you can feed the PDF or the website into it and have it use that could be useful for a lot of situations. So I think there are actually versions that are dedicated just to doing that, either plugins or apps that pretty much revolve.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's a way actually to bring big context to the model, and like the specialist that you said, if I want to I don't know to run over documentation that is large amount of content, and we can't actually send the whole documentation in a prompt with your prompt in the end. It won't be feasible because you will quickly reach the tokens limitation for that model. So the way to do that is to use this kind of feature, the retrieval augmented generation. So you actually filter first you actually use a model to filter the relevant part, and then you can actually you can send to the model only those interesting parts to complete your question or to reply your question. And thanks, Mani. I see you shared the code. Despite it feels lots of features here. Actually, it is quite straightforward to start using it. And Langchain also has much simpler structures here. I went through, I break into more detailed way just to make sure we can understand the behind the scenes of this feature. And the last one is, this is a figure about the vector database, how it actually works. It just vectorizes every word and gives some these vector weights, and then it connects things that is similar. It becomes closer, and things that is not similar, that's totally different. It's places, it's positioned in a 4 place. Today we have a lot of different vector database. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually do any benchmark of these options. I don't know if Mani, Eyal, do you have any opportunity to do that? But I know that there's lots of different options nowadays. And yeah, since we are using embedding models, there's also a charging for embedding. It's the same for the ChatGPT 3.5 value. Yeah, Mani, I think I see you entering here. Would like to add any comment?
We have a comment here. Just not sure we see ourselves.
Yeah. So on the embeddings, I was just going to mention that, especially if you're using like your own vector store, your own like a vector database, like if you're using Pinecone or if you're using like even just Postgres, for example, you don't have to use OpenAI's Ada model to embed. There's actually open source models you can use, and then you can do a cosine search, which works essentially the same way as if you were using the Ada embeddings. And that can save you a lot of money as far as like tokens go. So there's good alternatives out there for being able to store it and retrieve it without having to use OpenAI.
Cool.
Another question here.
Yes, I wonder your output is on the web application or still Java, some kind desktop, something like that?
My output?
Yeah, your output. And because you use Java, so I wonder your output, it can be in the web application or still
Sure.
in desktop.
Yeah, it can be. Of course, we can always move to the output for some REST API, something that can be consumed by.
There is a popular framework called Starlit, I think, that is used for a lot of examples where you can very easily create web components.
Yeah.
I think Starlit, right?
Oh,
Streamlit.
Streamlit.
But that's a Python-based application, unless you're talking about a Java-based. Is it Java-based you're talking about? Streamlit is Python-based.
That's correct.
Okay, I thought it was sort of universal, but I mean, you could attach it to a backend, but it is a Python. You're right.
Streamlit is Python based. For Java, you'll have to use Quarkus is a good way to do it. Quarkus has Langchain bindings as well, and JBang has come up with something. I can't remember. The author of JBang has come up with something where you can quickly put these things together and run them. We'll have to look into that. But yeah, the Java equivalents are not there. But in the Python world, you can use Streamlit or Gradio. Gradio is another one. You can quickly put front end together and interface it with backend. But you're right. If you have a backend that is and REST API serving, then you can use any front end or any tool to talk to the backend.
Cool. Thanks, Mani. Yeah, exactly. I know that Quarkus have this binding option already supporting Langchain and makes everything easier to integrate. But yeah, we can use any other web framework to help us providing it as a REST API, and then since it is just a string, you can just host it in any web application. And yeah, thanks for asking. And for the last thing I would like to share here is about agents. I think it's one of another very interesting and last feature I have here. It is actually a way to program actions for the models. So the best diagrams that I found here to explain agents, at least how it works behind the scene, is this diagram. When I do, but the purpose behind agents is to give a way to the LLM do some task, something that that you want more control, or you need to that that is not on LLM context, like some actions to take during their processing moment. So when I do request, for example, a good example here is to do some math or some request. You won't ask to large language model to do some requests to another application, but you can connect some function call for the LLM. So when we send some question like, for this example, I think it's easier to explain with the code example. So for this example, since we know some more deterministic tasks is better or easier to do in a programmatic way instead of using models, let me see here. I do created these two methods, these two functions here, the string length. So it just calculates the length of the string, and I describe this function with calculates the length of a string. And then I have another one that is the add function that receives two integers and just return the sum of two integers. And I call it calculate the sum of two numbers. And then I can actually create assistant. I think someone asked about assistant. I think it was Igor. So here's an example using assistant, Igor. And with this assistant that I register the tool for this assistant and the model and the memory, I can actually make the question here. What is the sum of the numbers of letters in the words language and model? So this is a simple prompt, but I don't want to actually the model calculate it. I want him to, when the model identifies that it needs to calculate the length of some words, some string, it uses my function here. And when it identifies to calculate the sum of two numbers, it uses my add function here. So let's see how it works. So here, it will actually, I printed in a debug mode here, I printed the whole operation it made. So I asked it to the model, to the agent. Let's just review the prompt here. The prompt was, what is the sum of the numbers of letters in the words language and model? So what happened here? And when I asked that and sent to the model both the tools and the prompt, the model identified, for while processing my prompt, it does identify, I have to call the string length. I have the tool string length and add, and I have to call the string length for the language word. And then I replied with the result 8, because I took this string and run the string length and calculate the length. And then the model also identified that I need to call the string length again, but now for the word model. And then it executed my tool function, that is to calculate the length of the model, and then it returns 5. And every time I do return some answer, I will give all the context to the model again. And now that I have both 5 and 8, I know that the model identified that it needs to calculate the sum of these two lengths. And then it identified that it should call my function add with the arguments 8 and 5, that is the length that it calculated before. And in the end, I return with the 13. And the result of all this processing or this workflow of agents is this answer. The end answer of the model is the sum of the numbers of letters in the words, language, and model is 13. So it uses my functions every time it identified that it should use some of the functions regarding to the description I give. It uses the output and then give me the correct answer. And it uses a lot of input token for this operation. Icaro asked here, so it's waiting for the user to call that function, or the LLM can call it directly. And the answer for that, Icaro, is that Langchain4J implemented it. And what happens is, and this diagram will illustrate it very well. I made the request and send the functions for the LLM. And then the output of the LLM of the first request is the function call. You need to call this function with this query. And then it calls the tools that I have registered. And then it enhances my request with the result of the tools or of the function execution. And then the model identifies, reprocess the whole thing with the results and then give me the response. So for that, for my example here, it called 3 times because, 3 times. It has to come for the string length for the first word, the string length for the second word, and then the sum of those lengths to finally give me the response. But just to reply directly your question, is the user that calls that function, that call the request, and when it receives the response, and the response says you have to call the function X, and there's some pattern for that, some standard for that, then it calls internally, it calls the function and then reply back with the result of that function, and so on. If you go to the implementation of LangChain, it is a loop that will be calling until the model replies with the response, the complete response. Let me see here. LLM is calling the agents directly based on the user's query. Actually, it is on the response. It tells me to now with these requests and these functions, you have to call this function and get back to me with the response. So it's not the model that's calling my functions. I just send the meta information of the function, and the model just reply with the response with the request that, oh, you need to call this function and give me back the response of that result. And Andres asked here, it would be nice to see the interaction between the agent and the large language model. I mean, the request and the response. Yeah, I had to do that actually to come here and explain the way it works. At least for, I can say for the implementation in Java, when I do run this assistant chat, and I have to go to, where is the assistant? A service builder. I actually ran through the implementation and could finally understand what is going on behind the scenes by debugging the implementation and see the whole thing happening. So I think it's here. It's called, seems to be here. Build proxy instance. Yeah, I won't be able to run it again. I will have to debug it again to show to you. But seems to be here. Valid parameter, system message, user message. Where is the memory? Here, generate the response. I have the response, AI message response. And yeah, here it is. There's a while true here that will check if the response is something that is an instruction from the model that you need to run some specific function. It will call the tool executor and run it, and then call again the generate method from the model with the new output from the tool execution, and then it will be doing it until the model replies with the response, not with a new instruction for the assistant. I don't know if I could be. I went through this code, but I don't know if it was clear enough for you guys to follow up. But yeah, the behind the scenes is, and the implementation is quite simple. It's this as simple as it is. Also has a to do here to limit number of cycles. Yeah, I believe it should be nice to have some handling here. But yeah, that's the current implementation on Lang4J. I see. So you give Icaro asked here. So you give a context to the large language model as a tool and the process, and the large language model processes it, or it has to be exactly the same prompt as the registered tool. I'm not sure if I understand your question, Icaro, but yeah, when I send the context, I just send the properties or the meta information of the tools. So the tools is a function that receives this argument as input, and it will give this as response. Yeah, so if you debug it, you will see it clearly here, and then the model just replies with the instruction. Andres, okay, maybe you can decrease the font size. Decrease the font size. More context. Yeah, you're right. When we're debugging, it's better to see more context. It's not a short code here. We have room for that. If everyone else agree. Nice. Makes sense. The agent loops endlessly till all queries are resolved. Yes, but can also run endlessly. I wonder so it can avoid endless loops. How it can avoid it? Yes, I think it's not. It will be some safe way, maybe some way to configure it. Oh, okay, this might end up without in an endless loop, so I can set up some break code here. It breaks the loop when there is nothing to resolve. Yeah, you're right. When the response is the history, when the response is in the history, basically. Okay. how can you share this ends? Yeah. So all this, yeah, Manny is talking specifically for this to-do message on the code, and I agree with that. I think actually at least it would be nice to provide some way to set up it, right? If I don't want to run and end up with my tokens, available tokens, and pay for a huge bill in the end of the month, probably I would like to have some nice option here. But well, going back to the content here, that's all I wish to talk about. I think I took longer than I expected, so sorry for that, Jackson people, Jacksonville people. But that's something I wish to share to you, and that's my contact if you want to reach me on LinkedIn and Twitter. I also have a nice free ebook for anyone that is starting with software architecture. There is people and patterns that you can follow.
That's big enough. Would you like me to enlarge it?
I got it.
Okay. So I think you did great, Yugo. I don't think it didn't feel like it was too long. It was long, but it was good, and we just started it late because of me. So I really appreciate it. It was very, very good, very informative, and very interesting. And thank you for doing that. Thanks for everybody that stayed with us from other continents and had to stay very late for that, or even to start very late. I appreciate it. I hope to see you again in the coming up meetups, both of the Java user group and the AI in the enterprise. This session has been recorded, so we will have it up on YouTube at some point soon, and I will put a comment on the meetup invitation. Any last words? You wanted to say something?
Oh, very good. Or thumbs up.
Yeah, a lot of thumbs up here. Yes. So thank you, everyone, and good night from Jacksonville. I'm going to end the session, so Yugo, you can still stay behind the scenes if you want to stay for a few minutes and just talk to me. Anybody else that wants to go back to the lounge and sit at the table and keep the conversation, you're welcome to do this. I'm not going to close the event for another couple of hours. So again, good night and thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Eyal.
Thank you.